ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow!
Oh, Tweety, okay. Okay. Oh, wow. Seemed like the doze. Hold on. Seems like he, I don't know about you, Basil, but I dozed for it seemed like an instant. I had this amazing, pretty cool dream, actually. What? Basil said he took a little cat nap about 3 days. Well, 2 days and a little bit. No. Yeah. I guess I should quote you first, shouldn't I? That refer back to previous statement. So I had this just amazing dream. And I know when I went to sleep, the results were coming in Michigan for the Democratic primary. And, hold on. What? Basil said, there's something scratching me on the back of the head. And, yeah, kind of embedded himself for a little bit. Now he's pushing a feather in front of his face. And why do we get, when we look at this guy and after the Republican debates, I keep thinking about somehow the word weacock. Not peacock, but weacock. Weacock. Not weacock. Comes to mind. Ugh, that's a bad image, thank you. Very bad image. Okay. So, I fell asleep, and my 3.5-day alarm, apparently. A 2.5-day alarm. And our candidate, our presidential candidate, the one we like, Bernie Sanders, the results were coming in, and he was doing pretty well. He was up by a tiny bit, 1-2%. The results had just started coming in. It was only 2-3% of the results had come in. Don't spoil it, Tweety. Let Basil tell me. Okay. Said, I'm not going to quote for Tweety, but I don't speak bird as fluently as I do cat. But Basil said, hold on. Said coming up in hour number 82, going to do a little hip hop and then a little A little hip-hop and a little shibboleth-goggin. Irish cat hip-hopping, I guess. And coming up on hour number 82. What are we up to? It's hour 75. Okay. So, tell me, do we come close? Do we represent ourselves well? Do we, exceed the expectations, which range from the optimal Clinton winning by 5 to a lot of polls showed Clinton was going to win Michigan by 20%. Basil said, "You sitting down?" Said, "You sitting down?" I said, said, "Yeah." Basil said, "Sanders won Michigan." Okay, that's good. That's good. How does that translate out going forward? Basil winked. Said, "Well, we're down by about 200 delegates. Of course, if you figure in the superdelegates, and we had the Scrabble board out, and apparently superdelegates have some interesting recombinant A, B, C, D, E, N, A combinations. That superdelegates are about 400 to 20 so far for Clinton. But if you just count those superdelegates, because they're not committed, they can change at any time. We saw that in 2008 when Clinton had 150 superdelegates early on because she was the presumed candidate, and eventually all of them gravitated over to then Senator Barack Obama. And he won. So we're now 200 pledged delegates from the conventions for the primaries and caucuses so far. Then we're in the game still. But if we do as well versus polling in Florida and Ohio, and of course later on the big ones, California, New York, and Connecticut. On April 26th, mark your calendars. Then we're going to win because we're doing pretty well in polling relative to what we were doing in Michigan, and now we just have to wait and see. It's as they say in the political terminology, everything's still in flux. No, Tweety, come on, no. I think it's a good thing I can't translate bird. Hey, look, Bill Murray and Stephen Colbert and Drew Carey. We call him LFFF. We can't translate that acronym on the show because it's a bit on the can't even do it. Okay, so now you wonder why Stephen Colbert's up in our hammock rather than doing his show. Well, apparently when he left the Colbert Report and before he started on Late Show with formerly David Letterman, now Stephen Colbert, he did some shows. Apparently they turned the camera on and taped them 24/7 through the entire summer and had enough stuff, even without editing, he had enough hours of taping to take him through about 3 years of his show. So they've done the first 3 years. So he was not going to talk about anything in particular that that we would find terribly exciting or thrilling. But okay. Basil said, enough about him. Let's talk about me. Okay, let's talk about you, Basil. We're up to hour number 75 of the 2016 Basil BuddhaCat Presents Basil-Athon. And I don't know. Hold on. That's odd. Why does the mouse sound a lot like the bird? And I don't know. Maybe one speaking Mandarin and the other one speaking Cantonese. Which one would be speaking Cantonese? Hold on. No, they don't know either. So, okay. Well, Michigan and onward. And, of course, we have Lilith, tail included, free of charge. Basil's mate who's passed away, and the calico cat, which you see in the entry to the show, has returned as the calico stone, and we know it's Lil because there's the fluffy tail and the head and everything in between. Weighs about as much as the original Lil. So, do we get any, have we gotten any more, corporate sponsors yet? Okay. Oh, that's the phone. Oh, hold on. Oh, okay, yeah, it is Lil. Okay, Lil's on the Cat in the Hat phone. She's got that line pretty much permanently open. And if you can't see, yeah, maybe you can see it now. There's the Cat in the Hat phone. Yeah, it's gonna take me a while. Maybe it's been 3 days. Maybe we can get. Walter Flores cat up here to do a little feather dusting, or as my sister-in-law from the Philippines would say, feather dusting or feather dustering. Okay. No, it's not the next week yet, so I guess we're not going to get any work out of Walter. So. Yeah, Cinco de Marzo is gone. Yeah. Next in line is Cinco de Abril. And we'll still be, I'm sure we'll probably still be on at that point. I mean, got to do something to fill out our contract. Did you watch? I mean, I watched a few days ago the latest installment of Stephen King's 11/22/63 about the assassination of President John Kennedy. And hold on. Okay. And a lot of stuff going on the internet talking about the not the Kennedy assassination, but the Scalia assassination. And we had on one of our hour segments, we had when we were doing screw Fox News, here comes cat news. We talked about, and we had the three, Antonin Scalia's three cats were on. And Nativist, Nativity, and the one we used to call Naive, but that wouldn't make sense because Scalia was sharp as a tack. But apparently Naive's real name is No-No. And No-No was the fluffiest one, or is the fluffiest one of the three, and the heaviest one. And apparently the one that, as the story goes, sat on the pillow that was on top. It was found on top of Scalia's face. And it was found no longer breathing. And apparently No-No was the one that sat up there and put the pressure on to make it difficult for the man known as the man with sleep apnea, amongst 87 other ailments. And really tough to have those things at the tender young age of 79. But apparently it was No-No that sat up there and did the dirty deed. I guess the other cats, probably read the Constitution to him, and they couldn't find anything in the Constitution that prohibited slavery. They thought, well, that's interesting because all three of them have always felt like Scalia was their vassal. They had him coming in every day and changing the food, changing the water, changing it. He didn't? Apparently, Scalia lived pretty close to Chief Justice John Roberts in Virginia. And because of that, John Roberts' cat, remember the kid we had on? Back in 2000 and I think middle 2012, yeah. We had when John Roberts was out of town, and Scalia might have been with him, but John Roberts was out of town doing a speaking engagement in Europe, and while he was out of town, he had the little neighbor boy, Willie Culpepper, was taking care of his cat, and cat that looked remarkably like this cat. And that cat got away and came on the show and visited Basil BuddhaCat Presents, and it's on YouTube. You can find it. It's on Basil BuddhaCat Presents on Facebook. It's out there. And his cat came on, and cat's name was that's Ben Carson's cat. That's name Whisper. Clarence Thomas's cat, Mum. I don't know. At any rate, so came on and talked about how actually why Chief Justice John Roberts voted the way he did on the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. He came on, talked about it, and you'll have to go back because it's a very intriguing explanation about why Chief Justice Roberts voted the way he did on the Affordable Care Act when it came before the Supreme Court. And he was a fifth vote. He was the deciding vote that let the Affordable Care Act stand based on, well, again, you'll have to watch it. It's a bit complex. And, yeah, I remember Basil said, I remember that, Basil, I remember that Chief Justice Roberts called us up during the show and was very adamant that his cat had no business being on our show talking about things he had overheard Chief Justice Roberts singing about in the shower, and he shouldn't have been listening. He shouldn't have had his ear to the extension phone when he was on the phone with Clarence Thomas and with Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the other Supreme Court justices at that time. Anthony Kennedy. who's been thought of as the swing vote in the Supreme Court, but now who's going to be the swing vote? I guess it's him still. And he should have come on the show and threatened. Chief Justice Roberts threatened to have them come and put the cat in a gunny sack and a cat carrier, bound in trust, and hang it from the ceiling of a cargo plane and bring him home and keep him from continuing that conversation. But there was nothing that could be done. Eventually, Willie Culpepper showed up, and he had gotten some wax from Roberts for not doing what he should have done, and kept the door closed. Apparently, he went out the cat door. Now I'm getting my stories confused. It's been a long time, and we've been up for 75 hours, except for the 2.5 day nap I took. That was Trayvon Martin's cat. It was actually the cat of George Zimmerman, who apparently snuck out the cat door for some reason, couldn't get back in, wandered the neighborhood, and eventually ended up at the house of Trayvon Martin's family. They lived in the same neighborhood, at least as Trayvon Martin's dad did. Came in for the cat door there, and he came on and he talked a lot about how Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman, really not a huge amount of difference between the two of them. Pretty regular, normal guys, and by the trick of fate, and one of them carrying a gun, and the other one carrying a can of soda, one of them ended up dead, and unfortunate, very sad, huge tragedy. But that's what happens when you have the law in Florida that allows people to carry a gun, and whenever they feel threatened by someone, they're kind of allowed to shoot that person. Except for the black woman that shot a warning shot over the head of her husband, who apparently had been beating her up. And okay. Basil said, that's old stuff. Make them watch it. Make them watch it. It's up to the audience to go back, and if you go back, you're going to see a lot of good commercials. We didn't have Star-Kissed tuna back then, and now apparently we're working on getting it to be not tell them Charlie sent you, but tell them Basil sent you, because Basil points out that Star-Kissed tuna has omega-3s. Apparently, all the other tunas only have omega-2 3/4. So Star-Kissed has got them beat. It's the best tuna. It's Charlie's wearing a red hat, and that's important because Basil apparently sees red better than any other color. That's why if I'm not wearing my red tie, and he sort of peers in my direction and looks at me almost like he's looking through me, and then he sees the time, then he knows I'm here. So we got Star-Kissed, but back then we had some other sponsors. We had not A&W root beer, but P-A&W root beer, Paw root beer. And how did we know that? We don't know it anymore, do we? Now, Basil said, that if I had my utensil, I'd be picking that up and saying, fork them. Because we don't have them as a corporate sponsor anymore. But once upon a time, and maybe this is why we lost the account. But I think that might have something to do with why we lost the account. Excuse me while I... Hold on. Okay. Take a little of the air out of them. But we might have lost the account because we... well, not we, but you, Basil. You were talking about how the reason why we know that P-A-N-W root beer was Basil's root beer of choice, his beverage of choice to be exact, was that all you had to do was, like Hershey's, like the Hershey's Kiss account, which we lost too, apparently. How do we know that the Hershey's Kiss and the P-A-N-W root beer were Basil's beverage of choice? Well, all you had to do was look in the litter box. So, while we got time, before we have to take another, this time it's going to be a little bit shorter break, I imagine. They're supposed to hand out every hour our, I know, it doesn't look like a Hershey's Kiss, does it? Maybe a Hershey's Kiss that's created by a lion wandering around the veldt. And Basil, Basil knows the lions are descended from cats, so it's, they're not parallel. They're descended from them, but as the body got bigger, apparently the noggin, the brain got smaller. So lions are kind of dopey compared to cats. But cats. He's not saying it anymore because he thinks it's all people do is when they hear anything that's a little different, they say, "Oh, conspiracy theory." But Basil is still studying up on the possibility that the original cats who came to our planet came from somewhere else. They didn't come from our planet originally. They didn't descend from dinosaurs, although they've got the like birds have. They have the claws, like the retractable claws, like some of the one half of the dinosaur family, one half of the groups of dinosaurs. So we're supposed to give out Hershey's Kiss Award to somebody. Val, okay. Basil said, I got a novel idea. How about if we give out the Hershey's Kiss, the giant Hershey's Kiss Award, to Hershey's, and say, you can come back anytime you want to. Our doors are open. Just don't leave any of your Hershey's Kisses on our carpet. Okay. So, on our next half of the 75th hour of Basil BuddhaCat Presents Basil-Athon, Basil-Athon 2016. I think we're going to do a little bit more news. We're going to do a reach out for not Abbott Labs, but Wabbit Labs with their new drug, Little Seizure Pizza. And maybe talk a little bit more about, for Snarky, we'll talk about ARF and ARP. And ARP and ARP. We'll be back.
They say they'd rob your grandma blind on Wall Street, fritter her away her Medicare on Wall Street, and Pharma Oil and their pet fox don't care if she lives in a box, so long as they wear platinum jocks on Wall Street, Meow.